the fuck? Hit the wrong fucking button. Or the wrong button was hit. I didn't hit it. I just say the wrong button was hit. That would be more appropriate. So I was programmed to always say that I did it. I hit the wrong button. But come to realize, could be, and what if? What if I wasn't the one that hit that button, although it looked like the finger touched it and hit it? What if that was remote control? What if I was being electronically demon possessed, remote controlled to hit that button? So, therefore, it would be more appropriate, more lawful for me to say that the button was hit. The button was hit. That way there's no blame. Say the button was hit. Then it would be a matter of a thorough examination as to how did that button actually get hit. So that way I don't blame the self, and that way I don't blame someone else. Now, I could speculate. I could speculate, but until all the evidences was brought forth into the court or with the court, it's all still just a bunch of hearsay. Even if a jury brought forth an innocent or a guilty verdict, you know, the question still, or the insight still remains the same. What caused the guilty verdict to come out of the juror's mouth? Was it the juror, or was the juror being robot controlled? Anyway, so you know. So instead of pressing that button again, that would have been the off button to the recording. I pressed flip the camera angle button. And so there's the fitting right there that I'm looking to see if I can get that in spotlight right there. Oh, looky there. Looks like brother got him a little something going on right there, might be. That looks like a little something, and there's a bit of a gappage right there, so that's what shims are for. A shim could go there to gap it up, but needless to say, I mean, that is looking like a wonderful speculation right there. The eyes are beholding a wonderful cut. Or is that a cunt? Is it a cut or is it a cunt? I guess it all. I would go so far as to speculate. I guess it would all come down to what region the voice was brought up in. Some different voices in different parts of the or different different regions, you know, like there's the south, there's the east, there's the west, there's the north, and more tendency toward the south. There's more of that country twang in the voice. Have you friended, you know, one of the popular questions out in town, usually coming from a spectator or a listening ear. Popular question out in town, they'd say, are you from the South or the country? Well, why do you ask? All kinds of different questions we'll be going back and forth as to inquiries. Because, I figure inquiring minds want to know nationally at that shopping, what do they call that? The shopping line. Heading into the shopping line, look to the side, look to the other side, and see all kinds of magazines with print on them. They call them letters now. And each letter has its particular definition. And if that particular definition is veered from, then probably it could be that the one that's veering the definition to that particular letter could be in a different region somewhere. To the south, to the east, to the north, to the west, the southwest. Could be straight up and down, could be straight below, could be off at an angle to the side. Could be all kinds of different dictionary, according to the Western Dictionary now. The Western Dictionary, which is just one dictionary. There's dictionaries over in the east, dictionaries way up above that way, there's dictionaries over there. Everywhere I look, there's all kind of different diction going on. Everywhere I look, all kinds of different shunning going on. Shunning attached to this thing called a dick. And then comes the air, the airy stuff. Dick, shun, air, and then E. 4 different syllables. I got undone on the 45 different subjects already, just because it's cut. Or if I was from a different region on the earth, I might call it a cunt. That could be pronounced cunt instead of cut. Cut could be instead of could be too. Could be cot. That could be called a cot. Which leads me to the next part, to the investigative trial, or the court movement, or the song, the symphonic action. What is the root to every single different regional interpretation, dictionarily, to all these syllables be popping up out of verbal mouth? Now that's a question. Now, I could easily convert that question to a statement and just say something, and just say, well, what if, and it could be. It could be this, it could be that. There could be no root at all. There could be no rude intended. There could be no malfeasance intended. It could have been an offense. Oh my God. What if it was an offense? What if there was no rude? What if it was an offense? One is given, one is taken. And then I always like to say, the rudeness or the offense could have come from this, it could have come from that, it could have come from that, it could have come from this. Everything's just a big what if and could be. And every time I look around, I see all this stuff hidden from me. All kinds of stuff being hidden from me. Politicians hiding shit, military hiding shit, neighbors hiding shit. I'm even hiding shit. I look around, I see all this shunning going on. That's just another way of saying hiding shit. To be shunned. In other words, if I'm being shunned, it's probably because someone get offended at what I just brought to the table. And so now, in order to appease the one that's offended, I would have to shut up, or I would have to hide something. Otherwise, if I brought it up, I might get tortured. Which brings me back to syllables. Is that called a cut? Or is it a cot? Or is it cunt? Or is it kit? There's, according to the Western Dictionary now, over in the East it's a little different. And over in the South and the North it's a little bit different. But since how I live in the West, and it seems like all these Western traditions are always telling me to shut up, that I'm not allowed to dare bring this evidence into the courtroom. I'm not dare, and if I dare bring anything into the courtroom, that the bully, or the banker, or is that an extraterrestrial? Could be what if whatever that thing is sitting up on the, holding the finger on the button. In other words, saying, if you dare share anything like that, I'm gonna blow everything up right now. I'm gonna blow it all up and destroy all the evidence. I'm gonna blow it up, destroy it all. If you dare share, how dare you be sharing anything? Don't you know that I own everything around here? Don't you know that I own it all? You know, as I listen to the bully, you know, ramble on with his charade, you know, going around telling me that he owns this and owns that, and I better pay him for this and pay him for that, you know, which is another way of saying the bully's sure raid. The raid. It's a sure thing. That pirate's raid that bully got going on. Now it's all just a story though. It's all just a story. Like I said, even the bully could be remotely controlled in the brain and the body. And if the bully's sitting on the judge's bench or the banker's bench or the controller's gang leading seat, if that banker or that judge sitting on that bench, or CEO or anyone to profess to be in control of everything, if that individual or entity or whatever it is, if that thing is being controlled by something else at a much higher level or a lower level, it could be off to the side somewhere, could be southeast, northwest. I mean, it probably could be even in a black hole somewhere, just sucked up beyond even being able to scope it out what it is. Some call this the God phenomenon. Oh, God's just there somewhere. Well, where is he? He's just there. Oh, I want to see the fucker. Well, he said he likes to stay invisible. Invisible? That sounds like a fucking story to me. Sounds like someone telling a fib. I mean, anyway, getting back to this, I could go on and on and on and on. Looks like this cut right here, it looks like it's fairly close enough. I mean, well, let's see. If I really wanted to get closer and more accurate as to what's really going on around here, I suppose I could just fill in the gap right there. This gap right there could be filled in, and that gap right there could be... Or, or I could say it this way. I could say that instead of calling this a gap, I could actually call this what looks like a gap. Hold on. Right here. This right here. Instead of calling this a gap, I could say this is actually a solid object. Although I can stick my finger inside the gap, this invisible thing right here, which gets me back to the God phenomena. This invisible thing could actually be called a solid. So if this was a solid, then instead of saying fill in the gap, I could say to put the gap on the solid. To put the gap on the solid. Now that would be coming from a different perspective. Instead of saying fill the gap, what if the gap wants to go on it? What if the gap doesn't want to be filled up? What if the gap? Now, what if the gap? Now I'm thinking, as I examine that word gap, I'm thinking, God, there's all kinds of different gaps. All kinds of different gaps out there. Gaps. And gap is the first syllable to the name called Gabriel, or pronounced with a different syllable inside though. Gap. Gabriel. Could be Gabriella. The gap, to fill in the Gabriella. Or to bring it from a different perspective, instead of the dominant Western perspective, which seems to be the dominant perspective across even in the South, the North, and the East. The reason I say that is because the military that's been controlling everything in every region has always been predominantly coming from the West. But could that be a front to hide? Could everything coming from the West, could it be controlled somewhere in Deep Space Nine toward angle region that way, or up that way, or down below? Just because it appears that the West is in control of everything, or the Western military, that could be a front, and it could be that the South, or the North, or the East is using the Western military as a front to put blame on the Western military when it's actually coming from the South, or the North, or the East, or the Southeast, or the Southwest. I mean, all kinds of different things going on. So I'm saying all that because what it looks to appear like could be just an appearance, and it could be something else in control rather than what I actually see and hear and sense with all the 7 senses. It could be 5 senses. It could be 12 senses. There could be more than just what meets the eye here. There could be more going on behind the scenes that's hidden than what appears all around me. There could be more to this whole situation than what appears before me. Anyway, getting back to the gap. Now it could be that it's still in this gap right here, otherwise known as the Shem something, or the Him something, or that would be the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit predominant celebration, to sing the hymnal for the Almighty. Who's the Almighty? Well, it's the Father and the Son and the Spirit, which is the 3 different ways of saying the boy energy. And I always like to add, tiny little boy. know, this Western religion that's dominating every other region, which could be in control by some other region. The southern region could be controlling this dominant Western religious outlook. That the 3-in-1, known as the him, and there's no mentioning the her. In fact, in the him dictionary rule book, it says the her must submit. And if she doesn't, then she is going to be shunned. She is going to be shunned if she does not submit. That's also another way of saying the gap. The her energy, the gap. Instead of the gap being filled with something, what if the gap is tired of always being filled with something? And the gap wants to have some equality here and be able to, put something on something. What if as I look out in the evidence of everything going on out here, what if it's all just a bully boy energy going on everywhere I look, and there's no allowance for the girl energy to come in with equal power and equal say and equal sheriff and bring other evidence to the table to examine, which the him energy, or the filler energy, the shem, the hymn, the hymnal, the praise to the 3-in-1 Father, Son, Holy Spirit, the dominant religious dictionary on the whole fucking planet, just dominating the fuck out of everything. As far as I'm concerned, when I look around and see what's going on. This invisible guy in the sky called Jesus God, he's invisible too. No one's ever saw him. No one knows who the fuck he is. He's somewhere out there. They say the stories always say it's always just it's according to a storybook. And of course they're gonna say, well, the one that wrote the storybook was him. All these different hymns contributed to the one storybook, so that way there's really no one at fault here. There's no one actually wrote it. It was just a compilation of all these hymns together. They all came together at this table at different points in time, thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago, millions of years ago, and added to the story. But I guess the point is that I'm looking to bring is there ain't no damn mention, no river mention, that would be more perspectively put. There ain't no river mention to the her energy. Ain't no, and any mention to the her energy is always going to be, if the her energy does not submit to the him energy, then the her energy shall be shunned. And if that her energy dares speaks up and says what she knows, oh my God, all hell is going to break loose, and the him energy will just destroy the fuck out of everything. Just totally obliterate it all. In other words, he's got his finger on the button, ready to push it, and destroy all the evidence he can before the evidence even has an opportunity to come forth to be fully seen amongst all the living organisms everywhere. Which brings me to what's going on everywhere I look around. All over the news, all over the YouTube, everyone's saying, well, looks like we're gonna be on the brink of the bully him power, destroying all the evidence, lest he be uncovered and everyone see him for what he really is, the big invisible nothing. Seems how he likes to hide all the time, never be seen. But it could be that there's actually something there. It could be that this big invisible nothing is just a tiny, just the most childish little, for another nipple sucked little baby, little kid. Just tiny little guy. Just. Even according to the Western Dictionary, it says the bully is nothing but a small child that has yet to grow up. The him energy, the bully. Just tiny little guy. Claiming that he's invisible and can never be seen. This is what I see going on. It's always the big claim. I'm invisible, I can't be seen. I'm never ever going to be known for who I really am. And I always like to add, until the she audit comes. Until the she audit comes. Not only comes, maintains the comings and squirts all over multiple times, and more multiple times all over the big fire button self-destructive little hymnal who thinks he's invisible and will never be found out nor seen. And just puts that little fucking fireball out. Seems how he's a nuclear reactive fireball blowing up little son of a bitch. Or is that father of a bitch? Probably a father of a bitch. Anyway, it's all just a speculation as I enjoy this wonderful cunt, cot, kit, coot. What the hell is that? Well, I don't think there's any question. I think it's easily seen for what it is. It just is what it is. Well, anyway, I think I'll play around with it some more. Here's a Sharpie to mark something up. There's a blue ink pen to probably sign something, and there's a penis pencil right there with some fake lead in it. Fake lead. Anyway, so much for the update. Pull a finger.